If you're a busy guy who's working 40 plus hours a week, you probably think keeping the fat off your body is near impossible. And it's likely the one thing that's stopping you from getting the body that you want and the confidence in the boardroom meetings and even just in your own clothes. But here's the truth, you are wrong, because there are some tiny changes that you could make that could be lowering your body fat percentage right now while eating more food and doing less cardio. Don't believe me? Let me show you how. But there is a disclaimer, because I hope that you are prepared for the amount of people that are going to come up to you asking how you did it or how'd you lose the weight so fast, because this fat loss philosophy is dangerous. You have been warned. Now, the best way to rip fat off your body as somebody who has tried countless diets and failed numerous times on their fat loss journey is going to be something called activity maxing. Now, what is activity maxing? It's a concept where we max out all of our steps before we even go and touch cardio. So what does that actually mean? Well, when we're losing fat, we want to keep our activity as high as possible so we can keep our food intake as high as possible. Now, why are some reasons why you would want to do this? Number one, so we can just eat more food, because nobody wants to feel like they're just gonna bite away their fingernails and chomp on their arms and legs when they're on a fat loss journey. But more importantly, it is gonna give us more fuel so we can push in our training and we can keep the muscle that we have. This is going to be important for you because you don't want to end up becoming skinny fat. At this point, you might be thinking, well, isn't steps cardio? Kind of not. You see, the way that we achieve long-term fat loss without suffering is to use steps. Steps are the most powerful tool for you to lose fat because they avoid all of the negative downsides of doing intense cardio. I know when I was doing my cardio hit sessions and the battle ropes and I was doing sprints, number one, I'd feel exhausted afterwards, but guess what? I'd go home after a very hard workout, feel like, oh yeah, I've worked really, really hard. And I go and I just raid the pantry and I eat everything in sight. And that cardio session was completely useless because I just ate back all of the calories that I burnt. And when I tell you that my appetite was just through the roof, it was not a fun time, let's just say that. Oh, and I almost forgot, worst of all, I lost a lot of muscle mass because I was just so focused on cardio. So can you see why using steps is so important? Because steps don't spike my appetite, I'm not going to be at risk of losing muscle, and it doesn't fatigue me, so I can still go and run my business and do the work that I need to do while having peak cognitive performance and not feeling like I'm suffering, which is what I felt like 99% of the time when I was over 200 pounds. Every day was just a slog and an uphill battle. But that doesn't have to be your reality if you're just using steps to squeeze out as much fat loss as you can on your journey. I hope you can see why this is so powerful. Some of you may still be just a little bit confused about what I'm talking about. So I'm going to use an analogy to make things just a little bit clearer. And I call it the control panel analogy. Think of fat loss like sitting in front of a control panel with a lot of levers that we can pull. And each lever is a different component of a fat loss journey. Let's say lever 1 is calories, lever 2 is cardio, and something else. The mistake most guys make is that they just pull on the cardio lever way too soon. And sure, it's going to work a long time. You're going to see some very quick decreases on the scale, but your quality of life is going to be down the toilet. Your productivity is going to be non-existent and you're going to hate your life. And when inevitably your fat loss starts to slow, you've already pulled that lever all the way down. You can't pull it any further. And this is where we get to the weight loss valley of death, where you just grind to a halt and you're not losing weight for months and months and months on end. And you're just in a cycle of then spiking up your calories, doing a shit ton of cardio, losing weight, getting fatigued, burning out, and then gaining weight all over again. The smart way to pull those levers is like when you're running a marathon. At different times of the marathon or your fat loss journey, we're going to have to push a little bit harder. We're going to have to go a little bit lighter. So instead of thinking that on a fat loss journey, we just need to pull all the levers down at once, think about instead, we just fine tune the levers. We pull one down a little bit, we see what happens, and then, oh, okay, let's move this one down as well. We see a little bit more. Oh, we flattened out. Let's just pull the cardio lever down a little bit more, and then we see more fat loss. Can you see how everything is coming together now? And learning this model was going to be so important for you because as you lose fat in your journey, when things start happening with the number on the scale and your overall trends, you're going to know what levers to pull and when, and you're not going to be so gung-ho about doing the most at the very start of your journey. Now, activity maxing sounds great, but there's one thing that I've purposefully left out so far, and that's going to be how many steps do we actually need to activity max. I say is a bare minimum 10k steps, and we can push that to 15. So within that range. But here is where we run into our second problem, because a lot of you are busy, a lot of you have jobs or you run businesses. So you can either do this two ways. You can either make up those steps throughout the day. So if you're on a call with a potential client, if you're on your lunch break, if you're just hopping from place to place, or you can do what I do, and I prefer just to front load them early in the day. I wake up maybe an hour earlier and I just blast all my steps in throughout the day. So later in the day, I'm not worrying about it, and I'm not coming back home, tired and stressed out, being in pointless meetings and pointless calls and pointless dinners, and then being like, oh geez, I still gotta get on my 10K steps. Because if you know that it's the worst feeling in the world. But here's where I have to insert a disclaimer. I'm not saying that cardio is useless and we're never gonna do it. It has its time and its place. But I hope you can see now the problem that you've been having is that you've been approaching this all wrong. Plus, let's not forget, walking is a phenomenal tool, not just for your mental health, but just to get some clarity on a situation, just to be out in nature and just to actually live your life. Because when we have things like work and long commutes and we're stressed out and we're in front of a screen all the time, sometimes it is just nice just to get out in nature and just actually breathe some fresh air, not all the smells of coffee and donuts in the office or in the cubicle, and just live your life a little bit. So if you're a person who wants a stress-free fat loss journey, then I highly recommend you start activity maxing. Now, YouTube knows that the video on screen is going to give you the best chances possible of losing your first 10 pounds. But if you want to take things a step further and work with me one-on-one, there is a link in the pinned comment where you can fill out an application, and if I get back to you, congrats, so we can work together.